2021 begins around the world with the traditional presidential New Year speech, particularly in Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari focused on security, the economy, and the fight against corruption in his country in 2021.
The year 2021 will indeed be a year where we will work to reinforce the hopes of fellow Nigerians in the vision of a united and progressive Nigeria. This administration will continue focusing on delivering key strategic priorities under our C: security, economy, and anti-corruption agenda.
Optimism and determination shared in Malawi, where newly elected President Lazarus Chakwera broke away from the exercise for the first time. President Chakwera notably called on his fellow citizens to unite to rebuild the national union, strongly disrupted by the event in 2020.
Has left us all feeling vulnerable and exposed. This is in large part because of COVID-19 pandemic. Our war against this plague is certain to continue in the new year. Winning that war and advancing our agenda of governance and economic transformation at the same time will not happen by itself. It must be made to happen by focused collective action.
And in South Africa, the country most affected by COVID-19 on the continent, President Cyril Ramaphosa congratulated his fellow citizens for their collective resilience in the fight against the pandemic, but also wanted to raise awareness on another evil that consumes the rainbow nation, that of domestic violence, whose number has skyrocketed in 2020.
Even as we were struck by coronavirus, we had to confront another pandemic that has long plagued our nation. We mourn the many women and children who lost their lives at the hands of men. We think of the many more who have had to endure rape and beatings, abusive relationships, and sexual harassment. We think of the many children that have been injured and traumatized by adults, the very people who are responsible for their well-being and safety. And yet, in the face of both these pandemics, South Africans have remained resolute, determined to overcome the coronavirus, and determined to end gender-based violence.
Former Malian Prime Minister Boubou Cissé under judicial investigation. Long suspected, his name is mentioned for the first time in an official way in the statement of the public prosecutor of the Republic. He and other public figures were accused of being involved in a conspiracy against the government. According to the Bamako prosecutor, Boubou Cissé, unlike the other defendant, cannot be found at this time. Mohamed Bazoum, Niger's presidential candidate, will be favored by the provisional result. The former minister turned candidate of the ruling party would indeed benefit from more than 1 million votes. If he hoped to succeed to President Mahamadou Issoufou in the first round, Mohamed Bazoum would have to wait. A second round seems for observers inevitable. In the Central African Republic, the outgoing President Faustin Archange Touadéra will be the winner of the presidential election. At least, that is what his political party claims, an assertion that the Mouvement Cœur Uni MCU bases on data from their representative in the electoral district. As for the National Electoral Authority, it is beginning to publish the first results of the presidential election without announcing a provisional winner. 13.5 billion naira, or more than $33 million. In Nigeria, this is the amount of the record budget allocated for the year 2021, the envelope approved Thursday by President Muhammadu Buhari, aims to revive the country's economy, which was severely tested in 2020, particularly by the fall in oil crude prices. It must be said that since last November, the country has entered into recession, despite multiple attempts by the authorities to limit the negative impacts on its economy. End of UNAMID, the joint United Nations African Union mission in Darfur. After 13 years of existence, the 8,000 military, police and civilians will gradually leave the country as of today. The transition will be carried out by the Sudanese government, which took over responsibility for the protection of civilians in the region on December 31, 2020. UNAMID was deployed in 2007, 4 years after war broke out in this region of Sudan. This conflict resulted in nearly 300,000 deaths and more than 2.5 million displaced persons.